the State Chamber of Oklahoma's Business Roundtable, presented by Cox Communications. And now, here's your host, Fred Morgan.
Hello, and welcome to the State Chamber of Oklahoma's Business Roundtable. We have partnered with Cox Communications to tell stories about businesses and business issues here in Oklahoma. One of the issues we're going to discuss today is about dental health in Oklahoma. And we have with us as our guest, John Gladden, who is the President and CEO of Delta Dental. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Glad to have you. So tell our viewers a little bit about your background. We were talking before the show about you're a transplant to Oklahoma like me, but been here a long time.
I have been. I've served Delta Dental for more than 30 years. Served Delta Dental of Missouri, Delta Dental of Tennessee, and for about the last 23 years I've been the President and CEO of Delta Dental of Oklahoma.
Okay, well, about your family.
Well, I have a wife and two lovely daughters. My wife and I have been married since high school. And my daughters, one is a graphics designer who works at Staple Gun, and the other one works with disabled children in the Edmond Public School System.
Okay.
And a brand new grandbaby.
Oh, congratulations.
Which is wonderful.
I also have a brand new grandbaby.
They're fantastic, aren't they?
Yeah, the first one. So,
Me
yeah,
too.
that's great. So tell us a little bit about your background and how did you get to be the President and CEO of Delta Dental?
Well, my mom and dad were the founders of Delta Dental of Arkansas about 40 years ago. My father did the business side, my mom did the dentist enrollment side, and they grew that into a very large organization today. As a matter of fact, Walmart employees can thank my dad for having dental benefits. He brought it to them originally, and then so they always encouraged me to come to work for Delta Dental, and while I never got a chance to work for them directly, they were my mentors. And I went to work for Delta Dental of Tennessee and learned how it was done, and then I went on to Missouri and then to Oklahoma 23 years ago.
Okay. Well, tell us about Delta Dental. I mean, what exactly is the product or services that you provide?
Well, at Delta Dental, we're fortunate in that we do one thing. We help people get dental care, nothing else. And we do that in two ways. The one way you're probably most familiar with is our dental benefit plans. We cover about 1 million Oklahomans. Nationally, more than 78 million people are covered by Delta Dental. But we have dental benefit plans for groups all the way down to groups as small as 2, every different kind of dental plan you could imagine. But then that leaves the other half of Oklahomans that don't have dental benefit plans. So we take profits that we generate from the one side of the company and we move it to an oral health foundation, and we invest in helping the other half of Oklahomans that don't have a dental benefit plan by everything that we can think of.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about
We
that.
are.
So how many employees do you employ in Oklahoma?
Currently about 125 employees.
Okay, and how many customers do you have?
Well, more than 1 million people are covered by Delta Dental. About 750,000 are covered directly by Delta Dental of Oklahoma. And then another 250,000 are covered by Delta Dental member companies from across the nation who their headquarters is elsewhere and their employees are here. So more than 1 million Oklahomans have Delta Dental.
Now you mentioned Delta Dental of Tennessee, Delta Dental of Arkansas. Is there a parent corporation?
Well, Delta Dental is set up much like Blue Cross and Blue Shield corporations, where many states have their own locally domiciled dental plan, as in Tennessee. But there are also Delta Dental plans like Michigan, which is responsible for Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio, and Delta Dental of California, which I think have 18 different states they're responsible for under a couple of businesses. But that's how we're covered, much like Blue Cross.
Okay, and you're headquartered?
Delta Dental of Oklahoma is right here in Oklahoma City at 63rd and Broadway Extension.
Okay. So, you know, we hear a lot in the news about access to health care. And dental care is, of course, part of the healthcare system. How many dentists serve in your networks?
Well, there are about 1,900 dentists that are actively practicing in the state of Oklahoma, and about 1,823 participate in one of our 3 networks.
Oh, wow.
So very broad access. Broad access is one of the cornerstones of a Delta Dental member company. People love going to their own dentist. Our research indicates that they'd probably rather change their spouse than their dentist. So we try to make sure that there are many, many dentists available for them.
That's great. So one of the things that you know that I know very little about is how do we as Oklahomans rank in terms of dental care?
Well, of course, I don't think we're that much different from the rest of the nation. Some of the ways that we do differ is that we have many small employers. Typically, large employers have dental benefit plans as a standard benefit for their employees, but because we have such a preponderance of small employers in Oklahoma, it's difficult. And so we estimate somewhere between 50 to 60% of Oklahomans have dental benefit plans. We've done as much research as we can, and that's what we think the number is. And Delta Dental covers about half of those. But one thing is for certain, and that is people that have dental benefit plans are much more likely to seek preventive care and restorative care than those that don't. And that's what we're all about, is helping people get dental care. That's what we do.
You know, I think I've done a little bit of research on this, but you know, when we think of dental care, a lot of times we think of either braces or we think of a toothache, but your overall health is affected by your dental health many times. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Well, certainly. Your mouth is connected to the rest of your body. And what we're discovering these days is that, of course, the flora that's in your mouth is connected throughout your digestive tube, basically. And it's very important to have oral health because it does connect to those other things. I mean, if you have a dental disease of any kind, it can impact a lot of different parts of your bodies. I am studying periodontics right now, and it's amazing some of the things that I'm learning just reading the textbook with regard to how one thing connects to another.
Mm-hmm. Well, John, we need to take a quick break, and hope you'll come back and join us as we continue to talk with John Gladden of Delta Dental. Come back and join us. Hello and welcome back to our visit with John Gladden, the President and CEO of Delta Dental. John, before the break, we were talking a little bit about how important dental health care is. You know, one of the things that I've heard is that Americans enjoy a tremendous quality of health care, dental health care. Have you had experiences to be able to see the rest of the world or have some information on that?
Well, I haven't been everywhere, but from what I have observed, we do have really good dental health. Most people think we have movie star teeth in the United States, and I think that we do to a great degree. What I do understand, though, is that even countries that have nationalized health systems, dentistry is set aside from that. Only very, very, very basic dental coverage is available for the people that have the national health programs. So it's still up to individuals to go and seek dental care on their own. So we're unique in the fact that dental benefit plans are so proliferate here in the United States, and I think it results in excellent dental care for those that have it. It's those that don't have dental benefit plans that there's a serious barrier for them seeking care.
We were talking a little bit about, I'm old enough to know when a lot of employee benefits did not include dental health care. What's the origin of dental benefits in this country?
Well, you're right in that there was a time when people did not have dental benefit plans, and the only reason they went to the dentist was to solve a problem. Typically it meant their teeth were extracted and they got dentures, if they were lucky enough to get them. But back in the 50s, the California longshoremen negotiated for some money for dentistry, and that's pretty much how it was stated. And by the way, it was for their kids, not for themselves, so they were really old school in that way. They negotiated for this money, they received it, and they thought that what they would do would be just build a clinic right down where their headquarters was, and everyone would come and get dental care. And they soon found out, though, that their dependents were far and wide. And like we said, they wanted to go to their own dentist. So they got together with the California Dental Association, and they came together with an agreement that said that the union would agree to provide things like emphasis on preventive care, personal responsibility, very quick turnaround for payment. And at the same time, the dentists that contracted with them would agree to uniform fees and a fee ceiling, uniform treatment practices and billing practices. And so they came together. It was called California Dental Service, and it grew. As you know, when one union gets it, then another gets it. Then it went to the car unions and spread across the country. And after a while, a union benefit, well, if you're competing for employees like the rest of us are for employees, you have to offer those benefits as well. And so now we're to the point where, as I said, somewhere between 50 and 60% of Americans are covered with dental benefit plans.
And I assume these plans, you mentioned that a lot of people never went to a dentist until they had a toothache or a very serious problem, but preventative care is so important, and I assume that's covered under a lot of your plans.
Absolutely. It's a pillar of a dental benefits plan. We believe that preventive care should be covered at 100%, no deductible, no maximum, just go after it, get that preventive dental care. It makes a huge difference for people to visit their dentist, get that plaque cleaned out of there, get that mouth looked at before small problems become very large problems.
What are some of the obstacles? You mentioned that we're around 60 or 70% coverage. What are some of the obstacles to expanding it to universal coverage?
Well, of course, expense to begin with. Very, very expensive. As a matter of fact, I was talking to a colleague from Iowa. Iowa has a very successful Medicaid program, had one for years. He's getting ready to speak at a program I'm putting together, and I was congratulating them on how they have managed to avoid this vicious cycle of getting dentists to take steeper and steeper discounts till they drop out and then there's no access and back again. And he was telling me, well, things have changed. And one of the things that changed is they started offering dental care to Medicaid adults. And when they did that, the need was so great that it pretty much swamped them with regard to claims. And so it changed how they offered the whole program. So it really is an obstacle. There's a lot of need built up out there for patients that have been letting conditions go on and on.
So, not to draw you into any kind of controversy, but I can remember the days when fluoriding water used to be a big political issue and very controversial. What's the status of that in the United States today?
Well, let me make it clear that fluoridation works, okay? It prevents tooth decay, there's no doubt about it. There's tons of science around this subject, and but I'll probably get cards and letters from just saying that when you even bring this up, there is an anti-fluoridation group that will really just drop a bomb on you if they could. But based on the research that I have seen, it's incontrovertible. Fluoride is good for you. It will prevent cavities.
So one of the things that I've read about is that there's more and more going to bottled water and purified water. Is that alarming for the dentistry profession, that we may not get that fluoridation?
What you say is true, and there are more people that are getting no fluoride in their water because it is bottled. You know, if you use a good fluoridated toothpaste, you brush and floss every day, you're going to be fine.
Okay. One question before we go to break. How we know in the medical field, the doctor medical field, we know that there have been tremendous increase in cost for health benefits. What's it like in the dental benefits world?
Well, we've been able to contain cost pretty well, if you ask me. I was just talking to someone the other day that the rule of thumb used to be about 10% of what your medical premium costs. That's what your dental premium would be. And so we have not kept pace with that. I think that we're probably closer to 5 or 6% of what a medical premium is. So we've done a pretty good job of containing cost. But keep in mind, too, that dental disease is pretty well contained as well. Some medical issues, there's no end to how much it can cost. Once you have all your teeth removed and a set of dentures put in, that's it.
Right, that's true. Well, we need to take another break. John, stay with us, and we'll be right back with John Gladden, the CEO and President of Delta Dental. Come back and join us. Hello and welcome back to our visit with John Gladden, the President and CEO of Delta Dental. John, one of the things you kind of referenced earlier is you do a lot of foundation work. You have a foundation. Talk a little bit tell our viewers about what you're doing in that foundation.
I'd love to. Well, firstly, it's important to remember Delta Dental is a not-for-profit corporation. Most people don't know that. So as a result of that, we have an obligation to the community, in our view, to help the other half of Oklahomans that don't have dental benefit plans. So we place at least 50% of each year's net contribution to reserves into an oral health foundation. Last year, we put 100% of our contribution to reserves in the oral health foundation. And then that foundation seeks to support dental volunteerism, dental education in every way that we can. So we support every free and low-cost clinic that exists in this state. It's important that we have free and low cost, so we have stair steps. Some folks can afford dental care, they just can't afford to pay the full boat for it. And then we have also the dental education. Most folks don't even know that we have a college of dentistry in Oklahoma, let alone how important it is. One of my colleagues is the president of Delta of South Dakota. They have no dental school there, and as a result, they have a severe shortage of dentists. It can take months to get a dental appointment. Not the case in Oklahoma. So we support the College of Dentistry in their recent rehab. We provide scholarships, and we support things called externships, where college students can then go work in these free clinics and provide care there and get their experience there. And then on top of that, there are special events that we promote and support, like the Oklahoma Mission of Mercy, where we collaborate with the Oklahoma Dental Association to bring together about 3,000 volunteers into a location, and we'll treat a couple of thousand people, and the mobile dental unit. The mobile dental unit of the Oklahoma Dental Association is a joint project by Delta Dental and the ODA. We provide about $350,000 a year to keep it on the road. They provide the service and the operation and do some fundraising of their own, but it takes a lot to provide that care.
I remember that from my days in the legislature. I remember that mobile dental facility. That's awesome. You know, one of the things that I've heard is it is very expensive to go to dental school, and it's also very expensive to get started in dentistry. Could you enlighten us a little bit about that?
It is difficult to get into dental school. As I mentioned, I audit courses at the College of Dentistry. I do so for fun. It's wonderful to get the education and the lectures, the book reading with no tests and no quizzes. It's a fantastic combination. But I've got to know some of the kids there. We are so fortunate. They are such a sharp group of young people. There's only about 50 openings each year and about 1,000 applications for those 50 openings. And each one of those young people are just as smart as they can be. They all have 4.0 average. And then they also have to be willing to accept a pretty good amount of debt to go through that program.
Right.
If they survive that, then when they go into practice, it can be expensive to open a dental practice. Just the equipment alone, as you can imagine, is hundreds of thousands of dollars. We see many new graduates are going to work for corporate dentistry, Dental Depot, Aspen Dental, Ocean Dental, where they can get in, they get their hands wet basically, learn their craft, and then try to make plans to move out into private practice.
I've heard that the number can be as high as $1 million on getting a dental practice started, which is a big hill to climb for someone just getting out of dental school with debt, as you mentioned. How is the baby boom affecting the dentistry profession?
Well,
the retirement of the baby boom.
Well, firstly, they're working a lot longer than we ever thought that they would work.
Oh, really?
I have many dental colleagues that are still practicing into their 70s. As a matter of fact, Dean Robinson just recently hung up his pedodontic shingle after, I think, 95 years practicing dentistry. And so they are retiring. The new people are coming on, so we see some really good marriages where some of the retiring guys are able to transfer their practices to some of the young players, and I certainly won't call them guys because there's half females and half males that are graduating these days, and so we're having a nice transfer with this. We have plenty of dentists in Oklahoma. In my view, they're just not really well distributed. We need more dentists out in the rural part of the state versus all of them collectivizing into that.
Well, let's visit about that. I mean, that's the same with doctors and lots of other medical care people, and it does take a certain amount of volume with all the debt of starting a practice and school. What is the status of dental health care in rural Oklahoma?
Well, a few years ago, we engaged with the College of Dentistry to create some remote learning centers. So we have 3 remote learning centers, I believe Woodward, Bartlesville, and Ardmore, that the students are there. They use video learning, so the lectures and so on take place at the College of Dentistry and are broadcast out into these areas, and then their clinical work is done there on site. And that's for hygienist training. Our hope is to have more dental auxiliary personnel in the country to help support the dentist that were there. And then with regard to the dentist, there's a lot of work trying to take young dentists and help them get out in the country and make them understand that it's more than just a job. When you're in the rural part of the state, it's a lifestyle. You have to like people coming up to you to the grocery store and going, hey, I got this going on in here. What do you think about this, Doc? But it's a wonderful lifestyle, and most of the dentists I know that operate in the rural part of the state, they wouldn't have it any other way.
Are there any efforts to increase the number of dentists in rural areas?
I believe there is or at least there was with the state budget crisis. I'm not sure I could be quoted on this, but there has been a program in place to offer some tuition and student debt reimbursement if they open practices in certain areas. And I think there are also a lot of small communities out there that would love to collaborate with the young dentists to come and set up shop in their town.
So you've got a new product, Delta Dental PPO. Tell us what that is.
Well, actually, the unique part of the product is no max. So for many years, adverse selection and so on have driven how dental benefits were designed, and it's been very common for them to have an annual maximum. When I first began in the dental benefits business more than 30 years ago, it was about $1,000 a year was the maximum. Over time, that's creeped up bit by bit. We have customers that routinely have $3,000 and even $5,000 maximums, but it's really been a barrier. And it's been a barrier for patients, and it's been a barrier for dentists as well. Some people do have great need that goes beyond that. And by having those annual maximums, it can cause them to have to stretch that dental care out over a period of time. So we started looking really hard at this problem and said, we need to have a breakthrough on this. We need to find a way to resolve this. But as I heard a speaker say recently, that to have a breakthrough, you really have to have faith in nonsense. You have to believe what no one else believes is true, and I believe that you also have to be willing to submit yourself to the learning loop. And so we set out to try to change that. So we've done our research, we've created our product, and our new dental product actually has no annual maximum benefit. So when a patient presents, they can get the dental care that they need. They can get it now. They don't have to stretch it out over 3 or 4 years. And we think that there is a strong possibility that if we're right, that we will change dental benefits forever and for the entire nation.
That's great. That's great news. Well, we need to take a final break, and we'll come back in just a couple moments and continue our visit with John Gladden. Come back and join us. Welcome back to our visit with John Gladden, the President and CEO of Delta Dental. John, you touched on the Oklahoma Mission Mercy. Let's visit a little bit more about that. Tell us a little bit. It's a neat thing.
It really is. The need is so great for dentistry. For many Oklahomans, it's just not accessible to them. So each year, the Oklahoma Dental Association and their foundation, and Delta Dental and our foundation, we come together and we collaborate to provide dental care where the need is the greatest. We move this event around the state. We typically have as many as 1,000 dental professionals, another 1,000 non-dental professional volunteers, and we try to meet the needs of those patients. It is absolutely amazing to see. We'll be having one in Durant next year in the first weekend in February. There are no requirements. If you need dental care, you show up, get in line, and we will deliver that care. It's just a fantastic thing to see.
That is fantastic. I know you also have developed a customer service line. I'm sure that is a hit with your customers.
Well, customer service is very important to us. We believe in experience development, and for instance, we don't use a navigational cue. When you call Delta Dental, you do not get a recording that says press 1 for this and 3 for that. We try to pick up the call with a live individual and help people get the answers that they need without going through that nonsense.
All right. Well, what is the future? What do you think the future holds for dentistry, and what does it hold for Delta Dental?
Well, I think the most incredible thing I'm learning about these days are the science that's being gained around the flora in your mouth. Huge amount of bacteria in there, some good, some bad. And so what's being developed is a product called a specifically targeted antimicrobial peptide, a STAMP for short. And it literally seeks out just the bad microbes that are in your mouth, leaves the good ones alone, and it has the potential to literally end caries worldwide. And I've been hearing about a potential cure for caries since I started in this business, but this thing looks like it really might get the job done. I believe they're in phase 3 FDA trials right now. It's an amazing product, and the application, as you said, in America, it's one thing, but the rest of the world, where caries is rampant, could make a huge difference in the health of people all over the globe.
Well, you've certainly given me a lot more confidence in the dental world, and we appreciate you being here today. This is a lot of information to digest, so hope you'll continue to come back and join us. We'll hear about the newest advancements in dental care, and good luck to you and your company, and congratulations on all the great work that you're doing.
Thank you, Fred.
And I hope you'll come back and join us next time on the Business Roundtable of Oklahoma. Come back.
Thank you for watching the State Chamber of Oklahoma's Business Roundtable, presented by Cox Communications. If you have questions about this program, email the Chamber at okstatechamber.com. Set furnishings provided by Scott Rice, creating effective workspace from the floor to the ceiling and everything in between.